My husband was roasted to death. When I went to pick up the body, I heard some young policemen standing nearby whispering, "It looks so strange. Roasted alive? Is that Liam's family?" We found his body in an industrial dryer at the scrapyard. Liam's body was severely burned, his whole body curled up between his twisted limbs. His right hand, which was as dry as a chicken's leg, suddenly stretched out as if he was still trying to grasp something at the last minute. His skin was gone, his teeth were exposed, and his stiff body was screaming in the red fire, looking like a demon crawling out of hell. He was burned alive in a closed space, his body still showing the expression of extreme pain before he died. Looking at his body, I seemed to feel his agony. I choked. My heart ached so much that I couldn't breathe. I knew he would die because I could see the number of remaining meetings other people had with me. That day, the number above my husband's head changed from 10 to 0. There was no longer a number above his head, just like when every relative of mine died. Why was Liam in the drying oven of an abandoned factory? No one knew the cause, nor could they determine the exact time of death. He could no longer hold me gently like before. Now he was just lying coldly on the morgue table, without the warmth of life. The first time I saw Police Officer Sterling, the number above his head was displayed to anyone with an index greater than 99, so I sighed softly and said to him, "Officer Sterling, I have a feeling we will see each other often. Usually it won't change, unless one of us is about to die. For example, my husband, Liam. Apologies for letting you witness such a scene. It would be difficult for a normal person to bear." Sterling said so, but his expression had no sympathy, only the vigilance of a person towards a suspect. He handed me a tissue, told me to wipe the corner of my mouth from vomiting, and then issued an arrest warrant. "Ms. Chloe Kane, based on the evidence we have, we are officially arresting you according to the law and hope you will cooperate with the investigation." Although I was mentally prepared when I saw the number above Police Sterling's head, it was too ridiculous to say that I was the culprit. Liam is my husband. We loved each other from college to marriage and have been very happy for many years. Why would I kill him? I have no reason. "Oh, Sterling gave me a tissue this time to wipe my tears. Miss Kane, please look at this." He coldly handed me a stack of documents. Tears blurred my vision, and I could only vaguely see the word divorce. According to the investigation, the victim had filed for divorce with her, but she had not signed it. Impossible! Why? I was about to grab the document to take a closer look, but Sterling quickly avoided it. No, our relationship was very good. He even had a custom-made ring for me, engraved with that word. I quickly took off the wedding ring, showing Sterling the love line engraved inside, "Forever yours." But his eyes looked at me as if I was a mentally unstable woman. Really? But her neighbors had called the police many times because the two of them argued loudly. That, which couple doesn't argue, then fight. We didn't intend to divorce. I didn't kill anyone. The corner of Sterling's mouth curled up slightly, like a madman who had finally smelled blood. He started spinning his pen continuously. So what were the two of them arguing about? Thinking about the reason for the argument, I stopped him. Perhaps Liam really intended to divorce. It turned out that after Lily was lost, he had always blamed me. Seeing that I didn't answer, Sterling impatiently knocked on the table. "It's because our daughter died. Liam blames me. But I didn't kill him." "Daughter?" The police's tone changed from the usual formula. "We've already investigated. You and Mr. Liam never had a child. Sterling resolutely placed the whole box of tissues in front of me and hurriedly flipped through the documents, hoping to find some clue, but he couldn't find any. He would never find the child because the child had no household registry, no adoption papers. So when the child disappeared from this world, no one knew it had anything to do with me. Sterling hurriedly left the interrogation room to verify the information, while I was left alone in the small space, recalling the past. In the 3rd year after our marriage, Liam suggested adopting a child. He was always very good to me, obedient, and rarely asked for anything. Moreover, we had checked and knew that I couldn't have children. Adoption is the only way to have a legitimate child. At that time, I agreed very quickly because when I saw Lily at the hospital, I knew right away that she would become my daughter. But I quickly regretted it. Lily was abandoned by her biological mother since birth. There was a reason why no one adopted her. She had genetic anemia, needed treatment, and regular blood transfusions, which was very expensive. My best friend once advised me to give up, but Liam loved her very much. He took Lily to fly kites, watch the sunrise, and eat ice cream, which she loved the most. Besides work, he spent all his free time with her, no longer paying attention to me. I was exhausted by the adoption procedures and her illness. At that time, Lily entered the naughty stage of learning to walk. At that time, my husband and I really argued constantly until Lily had an accident. Sterling quickly returned, but unfortunately, the number on top of his head remained unchanged. 3 years ago, near her house, there was an incident where a child got lost in a refrigerated truck and froze to death. Until now, no one has come to claim him. Is he the child that you and Liam adopted? Probably. Then why didn't you come to claim the body? We haven't completed the adoption procedures, and Lily couldn't leave a will, so we couldn't complete the body claim procedures. Sterling was silent for a second, then asked repeatedly, "So, do you think Lily's death was an accident?" Of course not. It was me. I remember the day Lily died, the weather was extremely hot. That day, my best friend called me urgently on the phone without paying attention to whether the door was closed properly or not. When I returned, things were beyond repair. The child died in the blazing summer, freezing to death in the back of a refrigerated truck. Her short life ended because of my negligence, because I forgot to close the damn door. I remember Liam's cold, sharp eyes again. The accusations were like cold knives cutting into my heart. You said I'm not fit to be a mother. I tried to explain to the police. I thought time would heal the pain. Then we made up. I really didn't know he still wanted a divorce. So she killed him, Sterling affirmed firmly. I really don't understand why he has such a big grudge against me. Keep insisting I am the one who killed my husband. Take a step back. Even if you want a divorce, there's no need to kill anyone. But his next words sent a chill down my spine. Because she found out her husband had moved all his assets away. If she gets divorced, she won't get a penny. Even the house she lives in belongs to him. Liam had planned to divorce a long time ago, and she would no longer hide.
Ms. Kane, I ask again, do you and Liam really have good feelings? Liam and I have known each other since college. Together with my best friend Tessa, the three of us were once a famous trio in school. They were neighbors and high school classmates, and I was the one who arrived later. But when I saw that both of them had symbols above their heads, I knew we were definitely going to be friends. The numbers on other people's heads have never fooled me. Sure enough, Tessa became my best friend. Liam became my husband. They were the closest people to me, and now they are all gone. The day the incident happened, I received a call from Tessa and rushed to see her. But because of the adoption, we had a big argument and she left angrily. When I turned my head to look at Tessa, the number above her head had turned to 1. I panicked and shouted, "Tessa, Tessa!" She heard me and stopped in the middle of the road and turned to look at me. Just then, a sports car came rushing and hit her straight on. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere in an instant. The number above her head also turned to 0 the moment she turned back to look at me. Thinking of this, I painfully covered my face. The tissue box that Sterling gave me at first has long been emptied by me. If I hadn't turned back and called her name, she probably wouldn't have died. It turns out that Liam has always hated me. He hated me for causing everyone to die one by one. My heart felt like it was being cut into pieces, but even so, I couldn't say I was the culprit. I shook my head vigorously, denying all of Sterling's speculations. I still can't believe Liam would treat me like that. Even if it's true what he said, he wants a divorce, it's because he hates me more. I don't know that. What would I gain by killing him? Even if there was a motive, do you have evidence that I killed someone? It seemed like he was waiting for that statement. Sterling gestured to the mirror behind me. The screen next to him immediately popped up a video. In the video, there is a woman who has the same figure, dress, and hairstyle as me. She linked arms with Liam, affectionately walking into a building. Not long after, the woman came out, but did not see Liam. It wasn't me. I don't remember that happening. Who is she anyway? This is the last photo of Liam before he went missing. Then the building suddenly lost power and the camera stopped working for a while. When the power came back on, there was no recording of him leaving the building. Sterling turned the pin in his hand, and as he turned it, he asked me, "Do you think he left the building?" I really don't know how to answer. Even the police don't understand. How can I understand? Moreover, I'm still confused. I don't know how to explain to everyone that the woman who looks exactly like me is not me. I couldn't give an answer. He continued, "I don't think so." The video continued to play, and the screen switched to a few days later. A large truck stopped in front of the building. Workers carried out a lot of things one by one, filled the truck, and drove away. The industrial dryer where the victim's body was found was also among the things. The truck's destination was the scrapyard. In other words, the last person to meet Liam was she. Sterling's eyes turned cold, looking at me like an eagle watching its prey. Under his endless questioning, I could only smile bitterly and say, "Officer, I said the person in the video is not me. Do you believe me?" "I believe you." Sterling nodded. "Then who do you think she is?" He threw the question back at me. My nose stung, and tears continued to flow uncontrollably. Sterling sighed and played the video again. "Miss Kane, if you don't recognize the woman in the video, does that building look familiar to you?" I looked at the building in the video. It didn't seem to have anything special, and I shook my head in doubt. That was her company. She should go there often, right? Oh, no, it should be Liam's company. Last year, she was removed from the board of directors, and all the management rights were handed over to him. Unfortunately, this year, the company filed for bankruptcy. It seems she is not suitable for business, Sterling said meaningfully to himself, and my heart felt like it was submerged underwater. My family was originally well off, and my parents also had a certain status in the business world. But only a few years after I graduated, my family began to decline. Then, because of debt from a construction project, a desperate worker stabbed my parents to death while they were returning to their hometown. I became an orphan, struggling to manage the ruins they left behind. If it weren't for Liam being by my side all these years, I probably wouldn't have been able to hold on.
It was obvious that things had been going well recently, so why did they suddenly have to liquidate and break up property? Actually, from the moment Sterling led me into the interrogation room, his words seemed to be describing a me in another world. Officer Sterling, you really confuse me. No matter who, after a long period of interrogation, would get agitated. I thought I was very restrained, but I still couldn't help but throw the tissue box in front of me. The empty tissue box fell to the ground lightly and without any momentum. Sterling shook his head helplessly, and that action really made me collapse. Ms. Kane, the ring. You're sure it's yours? Who else was here besides me? I looked at the ring on my hand. The silver light under the interrogation room lights reflected a cold light. When I checked the relationships between the victim and her, I discovered a person with a very special intersection. Sterling took out a photo. In the photo was a woman with long hair falling to her shoulders, smiling gently. Very charming. "Tessa," I exclaimed, not understanding why Sterling suddenly mentioned her. She had a close relationship with her and the victim, but unfortunately, according to my investigation, Miss Tessa had passed away in a car accident 3 years ago. When handing over the relics, it was noted that this ring was signed for by you. Therefore, this ring was not like what she said. It was not recently bought by Mr. Liam. Its original owner was not her, but Tessa. However, when I checked the information about her daughter, my colleague also found out the origin of the ring. The data showed that Mr. Liam had indeed ordered this ring 6 years ago in Hong Kong. 6 years ago, right when we had just graduated. Sterling did not say anything more, but I understood his hidden meaning. He wanted to say that Tessa and Liam had had an ambiguous relationship and it was very early. Impossible, impossible. They could not. The ring that Liam bought me was mine. I muttered, trying to dig in my memory about that time, but couldn't remember anything anymore. Sterling's eyes focused on me, burning hot as if they wanted to burn a hole through my body. I started to feel itchy all over, as if there were insects crawling, ants biting. No matter how much I scratched, it wouldn't go away.
That day, among the crowd in the university lecture hall, I saw the signs on their heads that made them different. But when did everything start to change? Maybe it was when I started to be obsessed with those numbers. Each number on a person's head was like a predetermined path in their life. It had never been wrong, so I trusted it even more. Until one day, it became the master of my destiny. There were people I really liked, but if there was only a single-digit number on their head, I would gradually distance myself. But if the number was big, I would mistakenly believe that they would be my lifelong companion. Actually, the number didn't deceive me. It was I who was blind. Later, I understood why Liam and Tessa were both because they stuck with me from the beginning. How rare is that? A person who is both stupid and rich and also takes the initiative to be intimate. I opened the door to invite the wolf into the house perfectly. I saw them as confidants, shared everything, used my parents' money to cover the living expenses for both of us during college. I even found sample project documents to help them with their graduation thesis. And how did they respond to me? As betrayal? I suspected more than once that my husband and my best friend were having an affair, but each time the damned concealment made me deceive myself, continuing to give them the greatest trust. I always told myself it was still above their heads, that is, we would still meet again, still be together. They definitely wouldn't betray me. If they did, they would have disappeared. Until that day, when she called me out but was stuttering and having trouble speaking. The light from the ring on her hand reflected and made my eyes hurt.
She said, "You worked so hard to raise a child for others. He also thank you, Liz. Who is he having an affair with? Why don't you divorce Liam? Being with him won't end well." Why? Why? Can she so naturally tell others to give up? And then the number above Tess's head suddenly changed. In the haze, it seemed like from far away, there was the sound of hurried footsteps. "Call a psychologist. Call a psychologist in here." When Police Officer Sterling pushed the door again, the mark on his head had not changed at all. He brought me some anti-itch ointment and red medicine to apply to the scratched areas and carefully changed a new box of tissues. I looked down at my right arm, which I had scratched to the point where I could no longer recognize the shape. Each bright red scratch mark left by my own fingernails extended all the way to my wrist. If it weren't for the hair tie blocking me, I might have continued to scratch down to my hand. I had scratched so hard and I hadn't even noticed it just now. "Miss Chloe Kane." "Yes? Are you always like this?" Sterling pretended to care, but I knew he was just trying to find every suspicious point on my body. Since the loss of Lily, I have suffered from severe anxiety and obsessive-compulsive disorder and have had to undergo psychotherapy. If I didn't take medication, I might not even dare to leave the house." Sterling nodded sympathetically, but his expression did not change, as if everything was within expectations. Those cold eyes looked at me, still with the same pity as at the beginning. We did get a sense from the doctor that her mental state was, well, somewhat abnormal. It may be a bit presumptuous of me to say this, but we suspect you have multiple personality disorder, so it's entirely possible that you're misremembering what happened. He talks nonsense. The more he talks, the more outrageous it gets. I hit the table, making the whole table buzz. Sterling sighed, seeming very tired. "Before initiating prosecution, we will invite a psychologist for an official assessment. We now hope you will cooperate with the investigation." In the cramped space of the interrogation room, Sterling and I talked for a long time, but he kept beating around the bush as if trying to get something important out of me. I'm sick of this cat and mouse game. Police said the building's camera system was cut off. Who can prove what happened? At most, you can only prove that I have motive, but no evidence. Most importantly, in the video, the woman also put her arm around Liam. If it were me, there would be no feelings between me and him. Police Officer Sterling, why do you insist that I am the culprit? The man in front of me fell silent again. He looked up at the writing on the interrogation room wall. Honesty will be shown mercy. Defiance will be punished severely. Miss Kane may be right that her memory is messed up, but we actually have proof. Sterling slowly opened the file beside him and began to read each point one by one. According to the investigation, many friends of the victim, Liam, confirmed that he suffered from severe night blindness in low-light conditions, almost unable to see anything. In addition, although the victim's body was burned at a high temperature, we still discovered laxative ingredients in the stomach. So the act of holding hands was not out of intimacy, but because Liam had diarrhea and was even exhausted and had to be helped to walk. Many roadside cameras also recorded this, confirming our speculation. His secretary also stated that she knew very well that the company had stopped operating and no one was coming in anymore. So we assume that she prepared in advance. She took advantage of the power outage when the lights were completely off to lead the blind Liam into the industrial drying chamber and close the door. Maybe the laxative made him rush to the bathroom, Whatever the reason, as long as the victim is inside the chamber, when the power comes back on, the system will automatically start and he will be burned alive. Sterling finished speaking in one breath, sighed confidently, then looked at me as if waiting for me to be speechless and unable to refute. Okay, I admit what he said sounds reasonable, but your argument has a huge flaw, officer. His expression changed instantly, and I gave a faint smile. Officer Sterling, I would like to request a lawyer. Before the lawyer arrives, I will not answer any more questions. Sterling's face was clearly gloomy. No wonder there were many things he definitely couldn't imagine. It's like he doesn't know about the existence of Lily. Like, he doesn't know how many times I could see someone else again, and like, he doesn't understand how rotten the human heart could be. I discovered Liam's true nature after Lily and Tessa passed away. The first time he flew into a rage at me, his previous gentleness and thoughtfulness completely disappeared, replaced by a true devil. He pushed me down many times. He used anything within reach to throw at me. Bowls, chopsticks, vases, even chairs. He was so angry that he forgot completely that I had lost both my child and my best friend that day. He also used the most vicious words to torture me, putting all the responsibility for their deaths on me. He knew clearly that not being able to have children was the greatest pain in my heart, but he deliberately pushed it into my heart and twisted it.
I no longer dare to dream of having a child of my own because I am afraid of killing another life. Self-blame, torment, regret. All the negative emotions kept gnawing at me for days and nights after that. Under pressure from him, I was no longer able to run the company and had to let him take over completely. He once comforted me. Don't cry anymore. We won't be able to have children in the future anyway. Don't be afraid. This kind of comfort is crueler than scolding. Late at night, I don't know how many times I hugged my blanket and cried, to the point that I couldn't cry anymore. Although the person who proposed the adoption was Liam, Lily was actually very cute. The girl is sick, but has the warmest smile in the world. Every time I take her to the hospital, whether it's for a blood draw or an IV, she still tries to open her eyes wide and smile, not letting her tears fall. God gave the child a chance to live. That day, the doctor announced that he had found a suitable stem cell, but when he needed Liam's signature to proceed with the treatment, he hesitated. He had never been to the hospital for previous blood transfusions, so this time he only needed to sign. He said again, "I need to think about it." And then Lily no longer had that chance. The day I left home, the symbol was still on Lily's head. Why did everything change in the blink of an eye? Why is that? From then on, every breath I took was filled with guilt. I am sorry for Lily. I am not the child's biological mother, yet I killed her, and the body cannot even be found. There is no other way. I can only try to find someone with legal status to hold a funeral for her, just hoping that she can rest in peace. Finally, I went alone to the hospital where Lily was born, asking if there were any clues about the biological mother. The results shocked me into enlightenment. The biological mother's name is Tessa. So the father is I should have thought of this sooner. I used to think that Liam truly loved children, but it turns out he only loved his own biological child. I fondled Tessa's ring with my hand,
looking at the engraved words inside, wondering, when did the two of them start? They already had a child together. Why didn't they end up together? Why didn't you tell me? Why should I be the fool between them two? But Tessa could no longer answer me. She only left a few ambiguous words full of hidden meanings. I don't even know if it was the hostility I once showed her that caused fate to change course and cause such a tragedy. Regret and resentment towards Danson tightened like vines around my heart, suffocating me. But in the end, I still didn't question Liam. And I wasn't in the mood to mention divorce. Because at that time, I was like a soulless body. Each passing day was meaningless, wandering in the world. Sometimes I sleep all day, but when I open my eyes, only 10 minutes have passed. Sometimes it's weirder than being clearly at home. In the blink of an eye, I found myself standing in front of the company. I live in a daze. Memories are interrupted. There are things I clearly don't do, but they are automatically completed. Until one day, Liam suddenly came home like never before and talked to me as if nothing had happened. He beat around the bush, sometimes asking about my health, sometimes asking if I had eaten. As for me, I pretended not to know that he came back to find the house's property deed. While he was rummaging through the room like a battlefield, I saw something in the pile of documents. A traffic ticket from the exact day of the incident was posted at the intersection in front of my house. Liam never mentioned that he returned home that day. I silently watched his back bending over to look for peepers in the dark. His thin back was elongated by the light, looking more and more like a sharp scythe of death. Suddenly, a scary hypothesis crossed my mind. I never asked where Liam was and what he was doing that day when she died. His hands trembling as he clutched the crumpled ticket, he immediately snatched it away in panic. "Did you go home that day?" "No, just passing." He tore the paper into pieces without hesitation and denied it. I hadn't even said what day I was asking about, but he already knew what day I was asking about. He was himself. He was home that day. I didn't forget to close the door. Was it you? "Are you crazy?" He pushed me away and walked quickly towards the door. I fell to the ground but still tried to hold on to his legs. I didn't feel any pain at that time. I just know that if I let him go now, I will never know the truth about Lily's death in this life. Sin burns me like fire. I can't go on living without knowing the cause. We wrestled with each other until he lost his patience and screamed, "What if I'm back?" "So that means you don't close the door. It is you. It is you who died." But his face suddenly changed into a ferocious expression. He kicked me hard and I fell down. "You are wrong. I was the one who closed the door." "What?" I muttered, but when I came back, the door was still open. "Who told you I closed the house door?" In the end, Sterling still couldn't get the truth he wanted from my mouth. The case was transferred to the prosecution's office for handling. It's just that I feel like they're digging themselves a grave with an unwinnable case. Because Sterling had previously doubted my mental state, the lawyer advised me to undergo a mental assessment. Anyway, it only does good and no harm. Because according to the law, if a mentally ill person commits a crime during an illness, he will not be held criminally responsible. Psychiatric testing revealed that I had dissociative identity disorder.
That conclusion surprised me, but thinking back, it was not unreasonable. After that interrogation, I no longer doubted this. Maybe there really was another personality that appeared when I needed her and protected me in her own way. Due to interrupted surveillance video and many holes in the argument, adding to the psychological problem, the prosecutor declared that the evidence was insufficient. There was not enough basis to charge me and announced my release right in court. At the end of the trial, I adjusted my clothes and was about to go celebrate with my lawyer when I turned around and saw Police Officer Sterling standing in a dark corner of the courtroom, his eyes as sharp as an eagle's claws, staring at me. He still had the symbol on his head. Truly an overly persistent and tenacious police officer. I wonder if he is this close with other cases. For the next few days, I always felt like there was an invisible gaze, like a needle stabbing into my back, following me every moment. But when I really turned around to carefully examine behind, the surroundings were still normal as usual. I didn't see anything or anyone unusual. I still held a ceremony for Liam as usual, but did not invite anyone. The man who had accompanied me all those years, in the end, left me with an impression of disgust and horror. At the moment of identifying the body that day, I sold my house, cleaned out all my old things, and returned to my hometown where my parents were buried. But even though I changed my place of residence, the feeling of an invisible gaze following my every movement still did not disappear.
Until one day when I went to my parents' place to burn incense, I saw that familiar symbol. Officer Sterling, you are really dedicated to your job. You've been following me for so many days. Don't you have any other cases to investigate? Do you have to put me in jail to satisfy you? The man in front of me had taken off his uniform and was wearing only plain clothes, looking less serious. He nodded politely. Today is really a coincidence. I came here to visit my father's grave. He stepped aside, but gave me a view of the tombstone ahead. The name Silas is clearly written on the stele. This name sounds familiar. I stared at Sterling's face, and he looked back silently, as if waiting for me to realize. Yes, I remember now. Silas was the man that stabbed my parents to death that year. Your dad? I asked doubtfully. Can people whose relatives have committed serious crimes still have their political background reviewed? Yes, I am an orphan. He was my neighbor and raised me. Later, I became a police officer, and he went to prison. I don't know if my face was too ugly, but Sterling took the initiative to reassure me. Don't be afraid. I just want to investigate the truth in each case. I am a people's police officer. I will not do anything illegal. He made a joke, but I couldn't laugh. Is this why you're so interested in this case? But Sterling shook his head. No, the original reason wasn't because of you. It was because of Liam, he added. Sterling's stern face suddenly darkened. That year, my father was so desperate that he took a risk. He thought that her parents were deliberately delaying payment for the project, leaving him with no way to live. But later, I investigated and found out that Kane Corporation at that time was indeed under great financial pressure due to leaked bidding documents. My father is also very regretful. Leaked bidding documents. This was the first time I heard the real reason why my family went bankrupt that year.
I followed the lead and found out that the biggest beneficiary ended up being a recent graduate. I stared at Sterling. The blood in my body seemed to freeze. The surrounding sound seemed to open up, but I could still read his lips. Liam. The scene from that year appeared clearly. Your parents are the owners of the Kane Corporation, so you are the eldest daughter. Wow, you are so rich. Let me hug your thigh. I wish I had parents like Chloe's parents. No, I want to be the first tycoon myself. Liam and Tessa, on the left and the right, held my hand and begged me to lend them the bidding documents to use as reference for their graduation thesis. Please, Chloe, show us. I graduated thanks to this and that. Perhaps from the very beginning, the two of them were targeting the Kane Corporation. But at that time, I understood nothing about business. It was even more unexpected that two young students would scheme against my family's entire fortune. They hid me until they drained the last drop of blood from the Kane family. I am so stupid. My throat was so tight, I dare not lift my head. Sterling immediately gave me a tissue. I just shook my head and refused. No need. Since the day Lily was lost, I have not been able to cry anymore. Sterling's hand stopped in midair. I had not been in my hometown for a week when unexpectedly I was invited to the police station by Officer Sterling. Still the same familiar interrogation room. Police said they found key evidence and needed to reopen the interrogation. Officer Sterling, I tell you, I knew we would meet again. I raised my head to look at the unchanged number above Sterling, but his eyes turned to look at my right wrist. You said you had obsessive-compulsive disorder, right? Specifically, in what aspect? He asked again. He is very talkative. I tried to contain my anger, keeping my last bit of composure, and replied, because of Lily's matter, I was always worried that the door wasn't closed properly. So now, every time I leave the house, I have to check and recheck countless times. Sterling suddenly smiled, the brightest smile since meeting me. He played the video again and again without stopping. Look closely. Is there anything different about your right hand? I widened my eyes. The woman in the video entered with empty wrists, and when she came out, she had a hair tie on her right hand. Police Officer Sterling? His eyes were like knives, slashing towards my wrist. There is also an identical hair tie there. I held my breath, not surprising hearing his sarcastic tone. She is shy and has short hair. So what are hair ties for? Moon hair tie or other uses? For example, market. Every time you close the door by yourself, wear a string on your wrist to remind yourself. Now Sterling in front of me was like a hunter who had just caught his prey, throwing out a challenging guess to the police. You don't need to rush to explain. We will invite your primary treating psychiatrist to confirm in court. Additionally, we have verified that the building is entirely equipped with automatic electronic doors that will open instead of close if there is a power outage. Sterling smiled brightly. So, which door did you close? What door did I close? Of course, it is the door that leads Liam to hell. After a heated argument with him a few days ago, the more I think about it, the colder my spine gets. I don't understand what he meant by, I closed the door. The only way is to go find surveillance cameras everywhere. Even though the incident happened a long time ago, God must have had mercy on me because the ice cream shop near my house still has the video of that day. I remember baby Lily. Her father often takes her to buy ice cream. That girl is so cute. The boss took out the surveillance video. In the video, a refrigerated truck stopped not far from the store. Lily ran up and got into it. Seeing her last moments, thinking of her end, I painfully clenched my hands, my nails digging into my flesh but not letting go. A few dozen seconds later, the frozen car door slowly closed. I know that Lily's life is about to come to an end. Just then, a figure flashed behind the car door. Living together for many years, I just need to glance to know that it is Liam. Even though the image was blurry and he only flashed by, I knew it was him. I suddenly remembered what he said that day. "Who told you? I closed the door." I don't remember how I got home. When I came to, I was curled up in my blanket, shivering. No matter how hot it is outside, I can't feel any warmth. I turned on the air conditioner, took out the electric blanket, covered myself with all kinds of blankets, but still didn't feel warm. Liam hurriedly returned, saw the scene before his eyes, and scolded me for being crazy, saying that he received a warning that the temperature in the house was abnormal, so he returned. "Don't you feel cold? It's summer. Why is it cold? You have to go see a doctor again." "But Lily will be cold. She was locked in the car by you. Very cold."
Liam did not bother to refute anymore, just coldly said, You already know." I was stunned. Did I guess wrong? Is it possible that the child is not his? I questioned him, saying I knew everything, asking him why he did that to me, to his own child. How can a human be as evil as a devil? Who said she was my daughter? She was just a bastard. My blood type is AB. Have you ever seen someone with AB group give birth to an O child? That slut Tessa wanted to trick me, giving birth to a sick child to ask for money. Dream on. I remembered how hesitant he was when signing the papers at the hospital. That's right. What father would give up unless he had the chance to save his child? Unless he finds out the child isn't his biological child. I will call the police. I will expose you. I went crazy and grabbed his shirt, but got knocked down and slapped. Do you have proof? She got into the freezer herself. The slap woke me up. The number above his head changed. I will not let go. I will make him pay. Let him also taste the burning fire of hell every day. Let him understand how desperate it feels to have the door of life slammed shut by someone else. Police Officer Sterling's reasoning was mostly correct. Liam wanted me to sign the transfer of company assets soon, so he came to see me every day. I took advantage of that and asked him to go with me to the company to inventory the assets. Before leaving, I gave him some laxative water. Approaching the company, he was almost exhausted and could not walk, but still tried to drag himself along for fear of missing the opportunity to take the property. When the power went out, he was panicked like a blind man and even rushed to the toilet. I led him around a few times and then opened the oven door. As soon as he stepped in with both feet, I slammed the oven door shut. That door cannot be opened from the inside. What about the power outage? Very simple. The air conditioner has a water leak causing a short circuit. The hotter the weather, the colder the air conditioner, the more the leak drips, the more likely it is to cause a blockage. The day I made up my mind to kill him, the number above Liam's head changed from 10 to 10. 10 days later, the weather forecast said the temperature would reach 40 degrees Celsius. I didn't know if the forecast was accurate, but I knew I would succeed. The police have sent a request for an appeal to the prosecutor's office and submitted new evidence.
My psychiatrist also confirmed that I often use hair ties to help control my obsessive-compulsive disorder. At the trial, the lawyer tried to prove that I had an abnormal mental state in order to get a reduced sentence. Ms. Kane was determined to have a serious mental illness and mental disorder, unable to differentiate between criminal behavior. I turned to look at Police Officer Sterling standing in the corner of the room, smiling slightly. Suddenly he stood up. "I object. The police have submitted new evidence about my state. Your Honor, there are indeed two personalities in the deceased's body, but only the personality that committed the murder has complete memories. We propose to determine that this is the main personality, has complete capacity for action, and must bear criminal responsibility." Sterling replayed the video of my first interrogation, in which I cried like rain. The psychologist explained, "After the shock of losing her child, Ms. Kane lost the ability to cry. But during her first interrogation, she showed symptoms such as temporary amnesia, chaotic memories, disordered speech, and the ability to cry again. These are all manifestations of another personality. Usually, the secondary personality will be stronger than the primary personality to protect the client from psychological trauma. But her condition is more special. Her main personality has complete memory, clear logical thinking, while the secondary personality has disordered thinking, weak personality. This is not yet officially defined in psychology. This is just a special case. A weak personality does not necessarily mean being unable to protect oneself because of loneliness in the heart. Perhaps forgetting negative emotions and painful memories is the best way to protect yourself. The court's decision was very unfavorable to me. The lawyer said I could prepare the documents to appeal to the final court. I thought for a moment and then refused. The moment I said I wouldn't appeal, I accidentally glanced over and saw the number above Sterling's head change to 2. Could it be? Could it be that Sterling is also about to be in danger? I ignored the obstruction of the judicial police and screamed his name frantically. Finally, he turned around and walked towards me. At the same time, the number above his head turned to 1. I use myself only one more time. "Sterling, you have to be careful, have to be extremely careful. Absolutely cannot let anything happen." In front of everyone, I grabbed the policeman's hand. His face immediately turned red. "But I don't care anymore. Listen to me. I see the number of times others can meet me. Just now, suddenly only one time. You have to be careful. Do you believe me?" I don't expect him to believe it, but Sterling silently nodded. "I believe." When he walked out of the court, I watched his back as he left. Suddenly, he turned around. I was startled. Our eyes met. The number above his head suddenly returned to 0. My heart stopped beating. From afar, he asked loudly, "So you knew that the power outage was because of this, right?" I don't know how to react. He actually believed me. I looked around in panic, seeing no danger. By the time I came to my senses, Sterling had already left. On the 20th day in prison, I received a letter from Sterling. He sends his regards. I could even feel his calm, unruffled tone through every stroke of his words. What reassures me most is that he is not dead. It turns out that the sudden change in the number of encounters is not a limit of life and death. We are all being guided by a thread of destiny. Each fork branches into countless small branches. Each choice we make is changing the trajectory of our destiny. Tessa chose to suggest to me the truth. Liam chose to hide his crime. I chose to plead guilty and go to jail. We each chose a stopping point for our fatal turning point. There are people who once passed you by without any connection, but can suddenly appear at a crossroads, intersecting with your destiny. There are also people who are closely attached to you, but just one wrong choice will separate them forever. I used to think the endpoint of destiny was death, but now maybe it's a rebirth. Thank you for listening to the story with the Submerged Archives. If you find it interesting, please give us a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.